So, welcome to the podcast extra. I know I said we would talk about our films, but Keith is away still. So it would be unfair to talk about our films without him. So, instead, I'm going to talk to Mike Tack about his films. So, hi, Mike.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's a shame that Keith Zasbo came into power a few weeks ago, and he's had to spend a bit of time behind bars. So he'll be all right.
That's it.
He'll enjoy the experience. Yes, yes, okay. Go far away.
Okay. Well, my first question for you, Mike, is what made you get what was the one thing that made you decide that you wanted to become a filmmaker?
Well, as you know, I came to this very late to the party. I'm the
Mm.
person that turned up when the party was nearly over. And I mean, when I was younger, I used to collect, but this is before VHS and everything. I had a Super 8 projector. So first you start off on silent films, and then you progress when you get some money to buying the color with sound. So you need a color sound projector and all that sort of stuff. And I had little Super 8 films that I would collect, and then I had a little cheap camera. And at one point, I said to my mate, I said, can we go in the middle of this forest and I bury you in the ground and you come out like a zombie? And, after got over the shock of it, he was like up for it. But we never got round to doing anything. And you know what life's like. You get stuck into your job, and you get a girlfriend and all these other distractions, and the technology seemed to be changing all the time. Every time I thought I got a video camera, I thought, oh, maybe I could do something there. I mean, I went to a filmmaking club for what in local to where I live, and there's some guy there. Actually, I remember this distinctly. He would make Super 8 films, and they were like animated, but what they were just his garden gnome collection. He would make
Okay.
up these short little 5-10 minute bizarre stories, and there's just gnomes moving, like 1 minute they're on the table, and then he cuts to it, and it's moved further along. No,
I
no, no,
think I've seen that. I think I've probably seen one of those shorts because
oh,
I it rings a bell.
well, he was well known for it. I mean, a lot of these guys were people who had dabbled or been in the industry, and they were hobbyists.
Mm.
And I do remember there was this critical moment when this new chap was there. I mean, I didn't go very often because most of what I saw was complete shite. But this guy, and he says, "Oh, look at this," and he shot a test thing, and it was video, and they were like, "Oh my god, this is the end, beginning of the end," because this is the very first time you saw some VHS sort of video
Yeah.
shot by an amateur, in this little club. And I just never got into it. I never had a good story. It's so half-assed, you wouldn't believe. There was no drive, and I'm a naturally lazy person. So to be motivated to do something, it's got to be quite a powerful motivating force.
So what was that powerful motivating force?
Well, this relates to when I was at Frightfest one year, few maybe 4 or 5 years ago, because as you know, we both go every year quite regularly.
Yeah.
And there was a short that was on there, and it was poorly acted. It was a shit story. It was on the big screen. I thought, oh my god, how did that get on the big screen in front of all these horror fans? And I thought to myself, I've got to be able to do something better than that. And I'd had this idea milling around in my head, and I thought, because I had an iPhone, just got this iPhone, and then I discovered there's a little app called Filmic Pro, which enabled you to fix the focus and to adjust the exposure, a bit like a normal camera would be. Now, bearing in mind, I know sweet FA at this stage about anything to do with cameras, framing, everything. I've got no idea whatsoever. I haven't been to film school or anything like that or read any books. I'm too lazy. So anyway, I came out and I said, you know what, I'm going to make a short film. Now, before that, a colleague of mine, Tim Richards, who nowadays is my special effects gourmet, and he said he had an idea for a film, and he has some relations, some sort of cousin-in-law or something. And I said, yeah, I said, he said, do you want a part? So I said, yeah, I'll be I'll act in this thing. It's like a game show with a zombie head in a box.
Oh, right.
And we went down to, like when you go to these unis, they have this stage area. Then we were told, oh, we can't turn the lights on and we can't do that. I mean, my approach was, who cares? Do it. If no one, and do it until someone tells you you can't do it,
Yeah.
which actually is my mantra today. um, and he did this film, and I was in it, and they did some filming, and it was so poorly organized. Not really through Tim's fault, just because people said they could do this and do that, which resonates with a lot of other, indie filmmakers that I know, because where they've had experiences of people said yes they can do this and do that, and it never happened. So after I saw that experience, I had this idea for a short story about a man who comes back home drunk, and then he's tortured by an unknown assailant. So, and I was drawing upon my influences. So I've watched films since I was like 12 years old, watching the late night horror double bills. I'm deeply rooted in the Hammer, Universal Studios sort of horror film genre, because that was my first exposure. And so also I then migrated on to like Dario Argento, the giallos where there's a black
Yeah.
glove killer. So with my twisted sense of humor, I thought, well, what happens if I get a black rubber glove killer to torture the hell out of him? You don't know who he is, and then at the end you think he's going to get killed, and he doesn't, and then it ends up being his wife
Hmm.
paying him back very badly for not doing the dishes. So that was my big joke at the end, and the idea, because they were rubber gloves at the end of the film, is actually wearing the rubber gloves to do the washing up.
Yeah. Well, that's what turned out to be domestic, and I remember I remember the screening I was at watching that and the people's reaction, because it was very visceral, and people
Yeah,
did react to it like, oh my god, ah, you know.
yeah.
Um, I don't think they were quite used to that kind of level of gore or torture in a short film.
Well, I didn't know this, and obviously I've been influenced by Saw films and things like that, and Chainsaw Massacre, and all that sort of stuff. And I think actually Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I would say, is the film that I don't watch very often, but I think it's been a massive influence on the way I always sort of mentally think of things that were really effective in the Chainsaw Massacre. And so in this, I do lots of cutaways to outside of the house when something's going on inside, just to, because this is me
Yeah,
trying to discover how to make tension, and make, I tried to put button presser type torches in it, things that also weird stuff. One is flicking an elastic band in his eyeball after he's had his eyelids sellotaped up. I mean, it sounds horrible, but I've never seen that before, and I thought that sounds really bizarre.
yeah.
Um, I had ideas of making him bite down on foil, which would makes everyone's teeth go on edge, and
Oh
stupid
god, yeah.
stuff. I know, and I nearly did that. I just thought, what things can I think of that make me feel really uncomfortable?
Why didn't you do the foil?
I think we had enough, because we got the cotton bud rammed right in his ear,
Right.
which most people, funnily enough, actually think is one of the worst things in the film. And
Oh, okay.
it's so simple. You just
Yeah.
cut away to you make it look like it's going in, and then you cut away. And I just got a bit of, like an earplug with
Yeah.
earwax.
Yeah.
Well, I've just broke a tiny bit of a cotton bud off and stuck it in, so it looked like the whole thing had been rammed in his ear. And I remember saying to Kyle, I say, more blood, no, more blood, more blood. I mean, this is my first foray into filmmaking. So I had an iPhone. Now I bought a little gizmo, which was like a steady cam thing that holds the iPhone.
Is it like a handle?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a bit like a gyroscope thing. It's very basic, but Steadicam Smoothie, I think it was called.
Oh, okay.
It's made by Steadicam, the people that make the Pro gear, So I
Oh,
thought, well,
okay.
it must be all right. And I had no idea. I had one builder's light. I had plastic sheets which I put all around, because it's done in my mate's house when his kids were at school.
Oh, okay.
And I put all these plastic sheets up, and luckily that looked quite cool with the
Yeah.
lighting. I had one builder's light. It looked really hot and intense, like Chainsaw Massacre. and he had some bizarre stuff. And the hardest thing for me that I've had to do in filmmaking was to shoot that first shot, take that first ever shot of starting to make a film. That for me was like a massive wall that I had to climb over mentally. It sounds pathetic, really, but it was
No,
like,
not at all. Because I mean, it
you know,
for myself, I never felt I could do filmmaking because that was Hollywood. Because
yeah,
I'd watched
yeah,
Hollywood films, so that was, that was over in LA. So the
mm,
thought of me doing it, it didn't come to me until, watching short films and realizing I could do that.
yeah,
It's
same
yeah,
here.
yeah. It's that kind of that sort of realization that you can do it. And yeah,
Mm,
you're right. The first shot is the hardest. Myself, um, I remember because I'd been working on film the year leading up to it. So when I was there doing it myself,
yeah,
I don't think I had that wall to climb
yeah,
because I had been doing it in one fashion or another. So just being able to, I was just doing my own. So
yeah. Well,
it
I
didn't have
literally
that.
went into it totally blind. I mean, I sort of worked out a shot list of. I mean, as with most of my films, like a lot of directors, a lot of it's all in your head to begin with, and then you
Yes.
script it. But I had no script, and this was the thing. I made my life easy. I said, right, there's going to be only one line of dialogue, which is at the end of the film when the wife says, "Now do the bloody dishes like I told you to," or something, and she slaps him around the face, throws the gloves in his face. Um, so all I needed was my mate to, you know, get tortured. Now I bought a couple of white t-shirts because I thought that would show the blood up, and got some gaffer tape and some rope. And I said to him originally, I said, "Look, Darren, is it all right if I tie up just for 20 minutes, at a time or whatever?" And he said, "Yeah, yeah." And he ended up being tied in the chair for 5 hours, um, because I said, "Well, it's going to spoil the continuity, Dazza. You'll have to stay there." So I was holding drinks, putting drinks in his mouth, and we had a time limit because his kids were going to come home from school at
Oh,
four
okay.
o'clock.
Yeah.
My stepson Kyle, who was on a music course doing, because he's a drummer and a musician and into recording, he said, "Well, I can record the sound." So I started. What I really liked, as you probably know from me, is I really like the handheld style of filming because tripod.
Okay.
I had this cheap shit little tripod, and it's so wobbly,
Ah, yeah.
and just all the faffing around trying to set it up really pissed me off. So what I did was I kept using the handheld thing, and even just holding it handheld, but just as steady as I could,
Hmm.
enabled me to, because I like crawling on the floor and getting weird perspectives on things. And that's where my foot shot fetish probably comes from as well, which is a
Oh, right.
theme. All my films feature a low down shot of some feet.
Oh, okay.
Um, and it's not because I'm deeply in love with feet, but it's just like a little one of my little things that I like doing.
Oh, okay. So we
And
don't
so
call you Quentin anymore then.
no, Quentin Crisp.
Tarantino with
Oh
his
right,
foot fetish.
oh right, has he? Oh
Yeah.
okay. Um, so Kyle, we had this really bizarre situation where it's a beautiful sunny day, and
Hmm.
Kyle had to use an extension lead because he only had a Mac Mini, and he plugged his Mac Mini in with a microphone, cheap microphone we had, and so every time I kept shifting around the shots, he was in shot with the
Ah,
bloody computer. So I had to reboot the
yeah.
computer every time he had to replug it in and move around. It's so pathetic, but we got it done.
Yeah.
Um, and I had all this footage on my iPhone, and I thought, right, shit, I've got to edit it now. So we knew a friend of ours called Matty, and Matthew actually is sort of into web design and stuff. And he knew how he had Final Cut Pro and a Mac, and he knew a little bit of After Effects, which I knew nothing about. Didn't know what it meant.
Hmm.
And he did the Apocalyptic Conservatory logo with he did the animation.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So
No,
that was,
I do like that
I
logo.
know that is changing though. We're updating it. So to something a bit slicker. But
Ah.
I think it was great. So he gave me a logo, and I had to sort of basically press gang him because getting time people down for their time, as you know, if they're doing you a favor, can be really
Yes.
a ball ache, you know. And you do appreciate that they're helping you, but at the same time, you want to get this thing done. So I
Done as
sat with
quickly as
him.
possible, yeah, and
Yeah.
it is hard, and
Mm.
I've had the experience where I've had people let me down,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've only had that once so far.
Oh, okay.
That was the one of the lead actors in my western that I shot recently. He told me on the day that literally at 7 o'clock in the morning he couldn't come, and
Oh,
so
fuck.
the clapper boy got told he's going to be turned into a Mexican and look greasy. So put we put him in a poncho and a sombrero. Said that's the screenplay. You've just got to mouth the words because we're dubbing the words. And the poor bloke who was going to do the clapperboard of the sound for me on a couple of films, he was thrown right in the deep end, you know.
Oh.
And I'm sure he didn't want to do it, but you know, I'm very persuasive, or I should say, forceful. Um,
Well,
and
yeah, because I mean, otherwise you would have had to cancel the shoot,
yeah, and I wasn't going to do that.
especially on the day. That is fucking horrible.
Well, even more, it was going to be a sunny day, and because I'm
Yeah,
trying to match footage I shot in the States, like the bright sunny, because I'm intercutting it, it's like it's got to look the same, and everything, you know, it's like organising it. And we'll get
yeah,
around to that, but so anyway, the domestic got cut together, and Kyle did the soundtrack, did a great job. It's his first soundtrack he ever did because he'd got Stephen Slate drums, so he's very good with percussion. So
yeah.
it's something that's often missing from a lot of short film soundtracks. Is like really cool, excellently produced percussion, as well as like anyone can get GarageBand and stick a bit of synth on, but
Yeah.
to have proper percussion really brings it up a notch.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, it's a whole cost thing because when you get into the real world instrument area, it costs so much money because you got to
Yeah,
pay for that musician's time, and if you want something bigger sounding like a small orchestra, then
yeah,
that's times how many people plus a composer plus a
I know.
conductor. So yeah, you're always sort of looking at big money, but there's software out there that can you know
Emulate it, yeah.
emulate it, and it's pretty good. I've used it on quite a few of my films.
Mm. Well, this I need to talk to you about that actually. But what this all conspired to produce was basically I ended up with a short film that was 8 minutes long, and then through a mutual friend, Stuart Wright, he talked to Mark Brown, who ran this little indie cinema night where they'd screen short films, and it was Halloween that they had a spare slot, and so he said, "Oh yeah, I'll give you his details." Because I'd literally finished this film, it took 4 weeks or 5 weeks to get it done, start to finish, and that's where you saw it, and
Yeah.
it went
Well,
down really well, didn't it?
yeah. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. Brainhound.
Feast on Film, it was
Oh
on
no,
Halloween.
right. Okay, that's not the Mark Brown one.
Oh, that's
That's
the
the James Rumsey one.
Rumsey.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, okay.
Feast on Film used to be once a month.
Well, Mark Brown was the one was my contact to get the film on, so I sent it to
Oh,
him.
okay. Oh,
So
okay.
he must have been tied in with that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and then once
Well,
you get something screened, and you get a bit of a reaction, a positive reaction, it's like, oh, I can maybe do, oh, maybe I should do another one of these, you know. And that's when my second film was One Careful Owner, again shot on iPhone, but this time I had proper actors.
yes, you had Richard.
Richard Knott, yeah. Clive, who's a sort of director, part-time actor, he put me in touch with Richard.
Yeah.
And then I used Kyle as one of the characters.
Oh, okay.
And my whole sort of apocalyptic conservatory production thing really sprung from realizing that I've actually, because I'm a musician as well and I can record stuff. I learned I got a Mac Mini, shoved it under my TV, and I've got my editing suite now because I got pissed off with waiting for someone else to do an edit for me.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit of a control freak in that respect, but also it puts it in my control, in my domain. And because I've got Carl that's doing the soundtracks, I pretty much write, direct it, produce it. You know, I don't do the effects like I did in the first film because my mate Tim really wants it to do the effects and he loves doing it. And he's come out with some real awesome, nasty, visceral gore effects. Tim Richards,
Tim is a real good find.
yeah.
I'm surprised he's not doing more effects for other films.
Well, he works his nuts off doing decorating most of the time, but he's very artistic. And we met at Frightfest, become good friends. And he, as I said, he was the one that really, when he went to do a film, and it was a complete and utter a failure, really, but not due to him, mainly due to everyone's inexperience and everything. It
Yeah.
really made me think about keeping it small, don't involve so many people, keep it under control, do a bit of planning. I'm good at admin and stuff because of my office job. I'm good at admin and planning, and in pre-production, that's you really need to have good planning.
Yes.
And so my learning curve, is a very steep one. I had to learn Adobe Premiere. I've done some of my own digital effects in After Effects, and as you know, After Effects is not easy.
No,
Um,
it's not.
and it's like doing tutorials. I mean, it took me 2 days to do the opening credits for one of my films. Too Careful and the sequel. Then I got into idents. I entered a few film competitions.
That's
Um,
right, because you've done the Fright Fest, turn your bloody phone off.
yeah, and we had two entries, and they did a pick the Action Man one where we had lots of action men in the cinema, which was Tim's idea, which was
Yeah,
brilliant.
but I think that was just because of copyright.
It was. They were worried that Mattel would sue them when they saw Barbie giving one of the action men a blowjob in the front row.
But it was a shame because I really liked that ident. It was really well done.
Yeah, it looked really good. And again, it was on an iPhone again, but this time 1080p. So you can see I'm really going up the ranks in terms of quality of equipment.
Yeah.
So then it was like, right, I need a DSLR. I need to just try and, because the price you can get a DSLR for really is quite cheap. My one was only 340 quid or something. And if you want to get exponentially a massive jump in quality, you've got to spend thousands. So the good thing about DSLR is it gives you a really good basic starter benchmark, decent quality um, picture quality, but also it gives you ability to use the depth of field and some of those really nice things and really start experimenting. So then I learned how to use the camera, stuck Magic Lantern on it, had to learn about white balance. I'm still learning. I've asked you loads of questions, which
You
you've been
have,
very
yeah.
helpful with. You have, haven't
I
you?
have, I have. You've picked my brains.
I have, but
But I just want to say, from somebody who's owned their own cameras, I had a HDV camera, and
yeah,
when digital SLRs were starting to be used for filming, I was a bit of a snob. I was like, oh, that just can't work. It just,
yeah,
it's too small a camera. It just won't work.
yeah.
And then I got my hands on one, and I was instantly converted because for me it was like film. It was like shooting on film again,
I
and you had
agree.
you had that look
Yeah.
straight away. You were able to get that filmic look with the
Mm.
shallow depth of field, which trying to do it on a Sony HDV camera, you just had to buy a whole lot of gubbins to put on front of the camera just to attach a photo lens just to get a similar effect.
They look like TV programs from the 70s, like Armchair Theatre or Doctor Who or something, don't they? Those video camera films, I find they're just there's something about it. Maybe it's the frame rate or whatever it is, but it just looks a bit pony and amateurish. And I think
Well,
they did,
they were aimed for the TV market. They were aimed for people who
yeah,
were out making documentaries
yeah.
or news gathering. I mean, the Z1, the camera I still own, it's a workhorse. I mean, I've had it now for over 10 years, and it's still working, and I've still used it in films
Yeah.
because it's very good for if you want that kind of documentary feel, and it's
Mm.
got the sound inputs, and it's still HD.
Yeah, I'm not knocking them, but
No.
I've skipped that generation. I went from iPhone, which is now commonplace for people to say, "Oh, we've made this feature film on iPhone now." But when I did it, it was like not many. I think Takashi Mike might have done a film or not. That's when I looked. He'd done a feature or something on an iPhone. I thought,
Yeah, there was a feature film at
mm,
Sundance that was a big hit, and it was
yeah,
it's supposedly all shot on an iPhone. I say supposedly because I've shot stuff on iPhone, but I've also shot on digital SLRs as well, as sort of mixed and matched the footage, and you can't really tell.
no, I
So
agree. I agree.
yeah,
Actually, I
so
mean,
it's quite easy to sort of from a selling point of view say, oh look, this was shot all on an iPhone, and
yeah,
I mean I haven't seen the film, so I can't really comment, but when you hear stuff like that, when you hear the hyperbole about films like that, you probably find that there was probably some digital SLR footage in there somewhere,
Yeah.
because there's that one shot they couldn't get with an iPhone.
Well, the great thing for me was that I realized when I thought about this thing, I thought I've got a fucking camera in my pocket. I've got a camera that I answer the phone on and do text on, and I can make films with this. And that was that. It was the barrier to entry historically for me was more the fact that I didn't have the money, and I knew it was a big investment. I mean, how you edit the old VHS tape and all that sort of stuff, that was a ball ache. I remember editing some heavy metal band that I was in, and we edited. I did a basic bit of editing, and it took forever. Took
Yeah,
forever, and
reel
I'm
to
like,
reel, wasn't it?
well, not really, but it was
Oh no,
like,
it was VHS machine to VHS machine.
yeah, like that. Okay, record on this, play this, and then do this bit, and then you're like, oh, and it's that sort of thing that was a real barrier. But now I've really got the bit between my teeth. I've had some idents shown at Frightfest. I got Lawrence Harvey in one from Centipede 2, because I chatted with him at Frightfest one year, and I said, you know what, I've got a really good idea for turn your phone off. How about you're in the cinema and then you end up shoving a phone up someone's arse and in someone's mouth, and they're a mini centipede. Well, and he laughed and said, yeah. And then a year later, I called him and I paid for his train fare
Yeah.
and gave him dinner and everything. And he came down like 8 hours on a bloody train. He was a right old trooper, I tell you, just for a couple of hours shoot. Um, and then I've managed to shoot that in a local theatre.
Oh, nice.
It's only a tiny little one, like a little civic centre, but really tiny,
Yeah,
about 120 seats. But
but the thing is, it doesn't matter, because it just works. I mean, because
mm,
all those idents does seem to be a couple of people in in a screening room or a theater or a cinema.
yeah, exactly.
It's I've not seen one yet, apart from Tim's one, where it was full of
People,
people.
yeah, no.
But I was trying to think oh the dolls he had there.
Yeah. Oh, he had. Yeah, I don't know how many action men, but he spent
Yeah,
ages making the little cups,
yeah,
popcorn, and everything, because we had a severed head at the end landing in the action man's popcorn, and none
yeah.
of that was stop motion or anything. We literally just held on to the arms and moved them in camera.
So you
Uh,
did like puppeteering.
yeah, we just
Yeah,
puppeteered it in camera. When he draws the sword out and things like that, we just what
yeah.
it's like, and that's
Oh, I know.
it's a
But
creative thing of that's
yeah,
what really drives me now is I enjoy the creativity because I'm in a job that is unfulfilling and not very creative. Accountancy, I mean, how boring, and so I've got a bit of a twisted brain in terms of, I mean, I don't really watch that many horror films nowadays. I mean, Fright Fest is like a big splurge, but I tend to watch other sorts of films. But historically, I've watched all the classics when I was growing up, so I've sort of got like a big history behind me of the genres, and I check out something new, but I'm not the sort of person that would go onto Netflix and watch every horror film on there, whether it's good or bad,
you wouldn't want to. There's some really horrible stuff on there. They
Mm,
I as much as I like Netflix, it's always bothered me that the choice on there is not much, and
yeah,
there seems to be a lot of rubbish on there, and anything, and it's always that one film you got a hankering to watch they don't have.
yeah, and Amazon might have it or something.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit of a ball ache, isn't it? But so anyway, so my filmmaking's progressed, and I did enter the ABC's of Death 2 competition. I think I had a really strong entry, really good
You
idea.
did. It was M for
Makeover,
Makeover.
yeah, and it looked the bollocks.
I voted for that one.
Yeah, it really looked like something cross between Aliens and Indiana Jones. It was. I was really impressed with how it came out. And again, that was a film that didn't really have any dialogues, and I shot it all just basically with no script or anything. I mean, I had an idea what I wanted to do, um, but um, but now my most recent production went really well. I did find early on that because of the way I was doing it, the pressure, and everyone looks to you as though you know what you're doing,
Yeah.
and you're like you got to give direction, and because I'm operating the camera as well, I was more focused so on the camera, so maybe I'd get back and I'd look at what I'd shot and I go, oh shit, I didn't get enough coverage, or that line was a bit rubbish and that needs redoing, or need to work a way round in the edit. So
Yeah.
I'm gradually trying to close down, like seal off all the areas where I've cocked up in the past, and that's the learning curve. But my
Oh, it is, and the
mm,
thing is, you learn from your mistakes, and then you just make more mistakes.
yeah,
It's I
yeah,
even myself, I've recently looking at stuff I shot, I've gone, oh fucking hell, how did I miss that mistake? And
yeah,
you just have to editing is you know it is telling the story, putting it together, but it's also ironing out the mistakes and
yeah.
working around them.
So on my last production, the Red Wolf Pines, I had a really good time, and I'd realised up to that point I'd been so stressed out, and the shoot had overrun into. I mean, one shoot went till 4 in the morning. The poor bastards, and unfortunately, I was ruthless, and I just kept going and kept going and kept going.
Was that M for Makeover?
No, well, that
Oh, it
was a
wasn't.
late one, but everyone knew it was going to be late one. It was
Oh,
two
okay.
careful owners. Well, Richard
Oh,
Knott was
really?
getting the right ump, because we had to do a fight scene. We hadn't choreographed it.
Oh, right.
It really got thrown together very quickly, and that went on
Oh,
to like
okay.
3 or 4 in the morning. And then I had to drop Clive and him off where they lived, and it's like, oh my god. So this last shoot pretty much didn't go on later than 11
Oh,
o'clock,
okay.
because we were in the middle of a forest, in the middle of pitch black with some. But I had all the lights. We got. I mean, Tim was the one that gets stressed out, because it's a bit like nothing happens, and bang, it's all needed at the same time,
Time, yeah.
and he gets a bit stressed out.
Yeah, there's a term in the industry for that. It's but it's usually the other way around. It's rush, rush, wait.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
But
Well,
in
my
Tim's
one
case,
was the
it's wait,
opposite.
wait, rush.
Yeah, and but everyone had a really good time. We had a good laugh on it, and I had a good laugh, and I was more relaxed. And because I was shooting it with not using the camera sound, because
Hmm.
everything was going to be ADR'd and sound effects, we just decided, because of road traffic noise, we said fuck it, the whole thing is going to be ADR'd.
Yeah.
Shoot it like a silent film. I could hear myself when I was playing back the footage giving direction. Whereas before, when you're shooting, I couldn't give direction. So that
No.
sort of helped me realize I need to give that direction before I roll the camera if I'm recording sound.
Yeah,
Obvious, I
I
know,
mean, you
but
you can't. Well, no, it's not obvious. I mean, that is a trick that you learn over time, and it's a case of how much direction as well. Because
yeah,
I've been on the receiving end of too much direction.
yeah,
I did like an interview where I was talking about Prometheus before
yeah,
it came out, so I was saying it's the greatest thing ever.
yeah.
He's
Egg
not
on your
going to use
face?
that. He can't use that.
No.
People would just be laughing at me because it's like.
Simon Aitken, 5 stars. Prometheus. Empire Magazine, 1.
I mean, my personal opinion on Prometheus was that it was a good idea. It's just, oh dear, it
It's
was.
just fucking boring, really, wasn't it?
Oh,
Not enough aliens for my liking.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. We were sold on the fact that it was going to be like an alien type film, horror thriller, and it just didn't turn out to be that way.
No.
But going back to my point, so I had to say certain things, so the director would, he'd go, right, what I need to say is this, and I
Yeah.
got it, and I'm like, fine, and then he just went on and went on and went on, and he went on for so long.
It boggles your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, so by the time it was the cameras rolled, whatever I had was gone because I've just been given all this information that I
Yeah.
didn't need. But yeah, it's you learn these things as you go along. I
Hmm.
mean, some directors like to talk out when during the action, if there is sound being recorded.
Hmm. Well, how do they get away with that one then?
Well, I don't think they do it over dialogue
No. No.
unless they know that they're going to be
Yeah.
very cutty, so they can sort of say stuff in between the lines.
Yeah.
I've seen that where people just the director will go, right, now say this line like this, and they'll just say the line, and then right, try this now.
Well, that's good, because what I like about that, and something I will be continuing, is that it enables you to steer them. If you see something which you really like, Instead of waiting to the end of the take and going, yeah, fantastic, that's brilliant. You can actually almost steer them and mold them, and that's quite nice, because when I shot Red Wolf, because we utilize actors that aren't normally actors, mates and things like that,
Yeah.
and it's like, I could have told them, right now, climb up that tree, jump off it, break your legs. They would have done it.
Yeah.
The amount of, small amount of power was actually quite fascinating to me. The fact that once they're on camera and it's rolling, they would do virtually anything, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know how that would work with a professional
it
actor.
wouldn't.
It wouldn't.
That's the thing.
I don't
It
think
would
they would take
not.
too kindly to being steered in the middle of a performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's all about experience and the best time to sort of try stuff. You know what? You should check out a book. Um, Clive sort of recommended it to me. It was really good. I'll Be in My Trailer by John Badham.
I've read it.
You read it?
Yeah. I bought it because I got recommended by, like you said, by him to read it.
Yeah,
It's really good.
It's really good. But there's some great tips in trying different stuff with the
Yeah.
actors, and he just says, well, just use verbs, use actions. So say to the actor before a take, now I want you to do it as if you've got an appointment that you
Yeah.
need to get to,
Yeah.
and you just find they might speed it up, or then go, try it now that you've got the rest of the day off.
That's I agree. That's a very good idea.
I've done exercises like that where I took scenes from some of my films and used different actors and tried all that, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
The different sort of performances you got from just saying those things.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, when I get good actors like Keith Eyles, and Richard, it's like what I normally do is talk it through with them beforehand, and if they know the character, then that's fine. I did sort of. I mean, Keith didn't, because he hadn't worked with me much before. He didn't feel that he was well. He didn't really didn't know he didn't really know whether he'd done good or not, and because I was
Oh,
probably
okay.
so stressed, I was saying, yeah, that's great, and I said to him, look, mate, I said, if it's shit, I'll say it's shit, or I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it's
I
not.
have to say I've had that complaint from actors before, because
Yeah,
they like feedback.
they do.
See, the other role that the director has is he's the audience.
Yeah,
So for the actor, they just want to know if they've done good or bad. So as a director, you're the audience member and you got to tell them. So I found little things like if you pat them on the shoulder or something, or just say that
yeah.
was good.
If they're female, just pat them on the behind.
Yeah, no.
Nice one. See, I'll meet you in the trailer later on. We can dissect how good your performance really was and how it can be improved. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So it's all these things I'm trying to learn, and I fucked up on Two Careful Owners on a little. I had like a three-way conversation, and I got my lines crossed a little bit. I sort of got away with it, but
Yeah.
I've learned from that. So
At the end of the day, nobody notices.
generally, most people don't notice unless it's really jarring, in which case I would have edited it different anyway. I think that I do enjoy the edit. I've said before, I don't really enjoy the shoot. I enjoy the edit, but I really enjoyed the shoot recently. So I think it was quite relaxed. We had a good bunch of people, and we had a good time.
Yeah, I mean it's the best way to do it. I mean I've worked on these shoots where they're a pressure cooker, where they literally like, right, we got to get this done in this amount of time, so let's do,
Yeah.
and I always tend to have my shoots to be a bit more relaxed, and I still get the work done.
Yeah, I thought your
You know.
shoot was very relaxed. You were very calm when I had my starring role in one of your shorts.
Yes.
That's going to be in your feature film. So
That's right. Yes.
hopefully I'll get a Best Actor Award nomination for my amazing performance as an office worker. Actually, a boss.
As a boss.
Have I got any lines in that film? I've not even seen it yet, have I? Hopefully not.
Well, we improv'd a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is the thing, I'm still sort of in the editing process, and I think a lot of that probably won't be used.
So what you're telling me is I'm going to be a Loki in the latest superhero film. You're going to film me and then just cut me out of it totally.
No, you're in it. I'm just saying dialogue wise, because I think there'll be more sort of music playing over it. It's more about mood than it is about sort of the
Oh,
dialogue.
so you're gonna have the psycho music playing whenever I'm on screen.
I was actually going to use the Jaws music, but yeah,
Dun, dun,
Psycho
dun,
would be
dun.
good.
Yeah,
Instead
absolutely.
of
That's it. Sounds like a squeaky toy.
it
That's even
does.
worse. So yeah, so now, unlike you, I haven't done a feature yet, but there are plans in the mix. Me and Keith are going to hook up because he's good at writing long screenplays. I mean, I can write 14, 15-page screenplays for short films, but
Yeah.
so what we're going to do, in my mercenary way, as the director, I'm going to say this is the story. We'll develop it together, and hopefully I'll get him to do all the typing, so I won't get what is it, RSI on my wrists or anything. And we can come up with a 90-page script. And then the idea again, I'm going back to like my first film. I'm thinking, if I'm going to do a feature, I need to do it over a number of weekends, not make it too expensive. How can I do that? Well, firstly, I'm going to shoot it all at night. It's going to be
Yeah.
set a bit like a nighttime film. It's so the weather doesn't matter if it's cloudy or whatever. It'll be dark. Who cares? Even if it's raining, it probably won't matter. It'll be quite good under
Yeah.
neon. It's going to be neon lit nighttime Londonish, scummy place looking sort of environments. And also that means I've got access to a number of work environments that I could easily, just say, oh, I think I'll have this for an office scene, or I'll have this for the interior of some bizarre industrial site or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we're going to just chip away at it. A bit like your sort of ethos, where you're going to take lots of short films and put them all into one encompassing feature. It's a great idea because you've not got to get everyone off for 2 weeks. You've done the real deal, proper film shoot.
I've done the 3 week filming. If anything, I'd any advice for you and other filmmakers out there, especially
Mm,
first films. Um the the best thing to do when you're writing a script is think of locations that you know you can get.
yeah,
So if you know you can get them, you'll more likely be able to film there.
correct.
Because if you're writing a script that takes place in a school, you might not be able to get access to a school, especially for that amount of time.
Yeah,
So that whole ethos about write what you know or
yeah,
write what you can get.
absolutely agree. Yeah.
If you know of locations you can get, then just write with those in mind.
Mm. Well, that's it. And indie filmmaking is optimized. I think I'm very good at getting bang for my buck out of my films. My latest one's a period western set in the
Mm.
1800s that's been shot in the UK and the States when I was on holiday. So, um, that'll all be for about 500 quid. So,
I know.
which
I'm looking forward to that one.
yeah, but when I went to the States and that you talked to some filmmakers out there, how much is your film cost to me? And I said, oh, about $600. And they were like, what, $6,000? I said, no, 600. And they can't believe it because out there, a short film is $10,000 to $20,000.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you paid everyone a decent wage for all the time they spent on everything, editing and music and that, it probably would cost that.
Yeah.
But I'm not. That's not what I'm about. And sometimes I think you get a different style. That's what I think my movies have, and your movies have. You have your own footprint because of the way you do things, the way you have to adapt to things, and the way that you personally cope with those. And I like that because it's like music. I play guitar, but I don't try and copy anyone. I play my own style. Now, if that's good, shit, bad, or indifferent, I'm not really fussed. I actually
Mm.
like the fact that it's individual and coming from me,
Yeah.
my creativity. So that's what I get from filmmaking is that even though we're on a budget, I mean, if I had 10 grand to spend, I'd probably just spunk it away on really expensive cameras and end up with a pretty similar looking film, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, again, it's kind of like what you depends on what you're sort of want to put your budget towards.
Yeah,
Because because I own my own gear and everything. That's
yeah.
one cost that I don't have to shell out for anymore.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, when I first started, the budgets were always sort of £1,000 and over because you had to about £250 of that usually would go on renting the camera.
Mm. So luckily, I actually consider myself very fortunate in that I've actually bypassed a lot of all that shit, and I've sort of come in when it's actually really accessible. But even saying that, I think I've managed to, with all the family assistance and the creative people that I know as mates and stuff, and the fact that I do a shitload of it myself and I like doing it myself. I think I've got a little production company that, we you get it all up on the screen, and hopefully they're fun movies, for very no money. And I get to go away if I get a film screened at film festivals, because this is this is the dark side of the amateur short filmmaking process, is that there's a hundreds and thousands of festivals now, and it's a lot easier to submit with Film Freeway, because without a box, to be quite honest, was a pain in the bollocks. Basically, the way
Mm.
you had to upload a screen, it'd take 48 hours for this Amazon or IMDb, um, you know, coded site to accept it in low res quality. You had to constantly frig around with the file size of your movie. It wouldn't be HD. So when it was being screened by festivals, this was their access to a screener. It would look pony, and
Yeah.
you'd like, oh, what? It's rubbish. But now without a Film Freeway, you can just upload it to YouTube with a private link it on this nice little page, and the submission process is a breeze.
Oh, brilliant.
It's
Well, I'll have to check that out because
Film
yeah,
Freeway is fantastic.
I've had the experience of using Without the Box, but I've not used the digital screener. I've always sent like DVDs out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, check out Film Freeway because it
Film
is
Freeway.
superb. Because they've got it all catalogued. You can search for films where there's no fee. And this is leading me on to my next thing: is that film festivals cost money to put on.
Oh, they
And,
do.
and what I didn't realise, you thought to yourself, oh, they must have paid for all these films to be shown at their film festival. Cool, it must be expensive. That's why they justify that ticket price. And no, they don't pay a goddamn penny for any of the films. They're given for free by all the filmmakers, and they don't make
Yeah.
any money.
No, they don't make any money at all. I have to say, if you want to make money out of films, then the best thing to do is start a film festival because
Yeah.
um, with my feature film Blood and Roses, I mean, I paid up to £75 to enter the film into a festival, and that did not guarantee me a screening. That just
No.
guaranteed that they would look at it.
Well, features, and that's the other thing I'm thinking about. If I do a feature, is the submission fees are going to like triple.
Yeah,
So you've got to be very clued up on what is a festival. You really need to understand what audience you're trying to reach. And also, there's a lot of festivals out there that I get the impression there's not a lot of activity on them during the year, and they pop up, and you think, are they doing this just to make a load of money? Not all, most of them are bona fide pucker,
yeah.
excellently
I
well
have to
run
say, I would
festivals.
say most of them are bona fide. It's
Yeah,
just
there
what
are.
kind of reach they have because
Mm,
some of them you have a big audience and others it's tiny
minuscule.
audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is like that side of things you're not sure
Mm,
because when you go to Without a Box and you look at their page, they're all exactly the same. They have
mm,
like a logo, they have their details and
mm.
how much it costs to enter. I mean, I always think I wish they would actually change this. What I would rather see is that you submit it for free, and if they accept it,
You pay
then
a
you
fee.
pay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then they would lose out on a ton
Oh, of
of
course.
ton.
Thousands of pounds.
Well, the St Albans Film Festival reckon they had 850 short film submissions, and they only screened about what 50 maybe
Yeah.
at £20 a pop.
£20 a pop. There you go.
That's going
So
to be a couple of grand, but they are a good festival, and they put all their money into organising the festival. And unfortunately, that is what they need to do. They've got to pay
mm,
advertising, print off the brochures. The ticket prices are very reasonable. So I wasn't picking on them particularly. I'm just saying that
yeah.
these film festivals I know get inundated, especially nowadays, where any man like me can just attempt at making a film. But I think a lot of people, when they start doing it, they then suddenly find out, well, actually, this is a lot. This is the thing I try and tell people, is that you say I'm miserable or I'm stressed or whatever, but there's a lot going on when you're putting a film together, especially if you're doing so much of it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you got to make sure it's in focus. But we've all had soft focus issues, and And when you get back, it's, you know, you got one shot that you really need and it's slightly out of focus and you go, fuck, you know.
Yeah, this is why it's good to have a good crew on your side, because
Yeah,
then you can delegate that to somebody else. You can delegate like the camera and focusing to the DOP and
yeah.
his camera crew and lighting crew, and then you can sort of just concentrate on the directing side of
But
things.
that would take a lot of the fun out of it away for me though, because I do like visual.
Well, I mean, you can be like a hands-on director.
Yeah, because I think that they talk about the director's vision and all this stuff. Well, without any pretentiousness, I've got the film in my head. I'm playing it through like a TV episode or whatever, and that's why I draw upon my camera shots. So if I'm interacting with a camera, you're getting the purest vision of that film I can possibly give you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean. I shoot a lot of my own films. I mean, I
Mm.
have worked with DOPs, but um, I actually prefer shooting them myself. I prefer to be behind the camera.
I'd rather take the rap for having it shot badly myself, to be honest with you, because if I left it to someone and then everything they shot was rubbish, I'd be like, you know, you need to have a lot of faith and confidence in whoever's doing that work for you, haven't you? To let go of that responsibility.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, you don't let go of it. You just sort of it's more of a delegation. I mean, you
Yeah,
still have to keep on top of it.
yeah, you have to review it and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
and
Yeah,
also, just be open to what the DOP or camera operator brings to it, because they may come up with something that you didn't think of and that would work really well.
yeah,
It's just a case of knowing that stuff, knowing what you want, because you'll get ideas where you agree to do them, and then in hindsight realize it was the wrong thing to do for the film.
yeah.
And I've had that.
Mm.
I've actually had that in one of my short films where the DOP recommended something and I agreed to go with it. And then when I finally was in the editing room watching it, going, "Oh shit, why did I do that?"
Yeah, because it doesn't fit what was in your head to begin
Head,
with.
yeah. Oh, it
Mm.
didn't fit the style of storytelling anyway.
Well, the thing I had, one of my mates who actually is one of an early victim, because there's always a lot of victims in my films. Um, uh, he, um, I said to him, "Look, could you want to be the sort of assistant to the director?" Because, and then I just talked to him. Can you get this done? And when once I found I had a consistent person to go to, so where are I? What's the line? What's the, you know? And he was on it. He was really good. Paul Cross, a friend of mine, he did really well and he was really up for it, and that really is probably one of the reasons why it went so smoothly, apart from the fact I organized it like a bloody military operation, and
Yeah,
I got a more realistic expectation of how long I can shoot for to get what I need. You know, that's
yeah,
experience, and
exactly.
that
So
really
you
helped.
learn how long it takes to set things up. I mean, I always love because I still work on other people's films as well.
Mm,
And I do love the optimistic call sheet where it's like, "Oh, arrive at 9. We'll start filming at 10, and we'll be finished by 5." And you're going, "Ooh,
mm.
yeah." I think
Well,
more realistically, we'll start filming 11 or 12, and probably finish at 8.
I was very lucky to have you recently, wasn't I, on the video shoot where we recorded
Yes,
the Thing
yeah,
podcast, and that was nice because I knew I had coverage. So if I fucked something up, I knew that I had someone who knew what they're doing. And you caught some beautiful slow mo stuff on that camera of yours.
yeah,
So that was really good fun. And also, you drove the forklift truck, which had me pretending I was doing a crane shot while sitting on
yeah.
on a very wobbly pallet. Um, so it's good to have someone else that can drive a forklift truck.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No,
that was
it was
invaluable.
Oh, no, I really enjoyed working on the music video, and, and it was a great pleasure to sort of finish a lot earlier than what the wrap time was, because you
Yeah,
told me originally it was gonna be like a 4 a.m. wrap time,
yeah, I know. I just did that to cover myself. Yeah,
but we finished at midnight. I mean, if you had been shooting by yourself, then, yeah, you would have been there till 4 in the morning.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what I found was really enjoyable was we were like talking about stuff, talking about exposure and this and
Mm.
trying to get the look we want, and we were collaborating, and that was I really enjoyed that. So because obviously you've got more experience than me, so I'm going to try and plagiarize and nick whatever I can off of you at every opportunity, Simon. Because
Well,
it's like catch up. It's like when I got a motorbike, I didn't get one till I was 30, and then I had
oh,
to
right.
ride like a complete fucking idiot to try and learn all the mistakes without killing myself along the way.
Oh,
Filmmaking's a bit
okay.
like that, really, I think, because I nearly
It is,
killed
yeah.
myself going up on that forklift into that roof to put rubber gloves over the heat sensors because we had flame cannons. No one
That's
else
right, yeah.
bloody volunteered, did they? And I'm the main cameraman and directing it. Oh, yeah, all right, lads, I'll go and do it. You
Well,
know,
you wouldn't want one of the, musicians doing it because, they fall off
well,
and
they're all
injure
short
themselves.
asses anyway. They wouldn't have been able to reach.
Yeah,
I was the only tall one there.
yeah.
So
Oh, did you actually take those rubber gloves off
no,
the,
I got my mate Turgut to take them all down. Apparently,
Oh,
the alarm
nice.
actually went off,
Oh, did
but the
it?
fire brigade ignored it.
Oh, okay.
So we're lucky we didn't get the fire brigade turned up and covering us all in foam, which would have looked quite good for a video.
Well, that would have been fun, but I think more realistically, what they would have done was shut us down.
Yeah, I know, I know. I've only been told to move on once by someone, and that's because I was trying to set Richard Knock on fire in the middle of
Oh,
a
really?
field. In the middle of nowhere, this bastard just turns up and goes, "Well, I'm in charge of this." I said, "You got permission?" I said, "No." He said, "What are you doing?" And I looked at the camera, looked up it, and I was a bit stroppy. I said, "I'm filming. What does it look like?" You know what I mean? It's like, what's it to you? He said, "Well, we had all these ashes we tipped on the floor, and then they had to get put in the bag." And I said, "Look, mate, this is just a grassy field in the middle of nowhere. What difference does it make? It's
Oh,
always a bloody killjoy."
yeah. It must have been his grassy field in the middle of nowhere.
I got a question for you actually, because I was at this film
Okay.
fest. You know, Makeover. I shot in London. I actually shot it in front of the Houses of Parliament, for Christ's sakes, at
Yeah.
11:30 at night. I didn't have any permits or nothing. I was just wondering, if you make a feature film and you film it in London and you don't have the permits from the council, could they put the kibosh on your film?
No.
They can't. So
No.
if you get away with it, you get away with it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Just it's.
Because I'm not going to get a permit for anything.
I know. I was just would say, be careful of copyright material.
Like,
I'm not quite sure what the rules are because I mean, I always believed that on TV they blurred things out because they hadn't permission to show it. But I also then heard that they blur it out because they weren't given money to promote it. So
well, there's public domain. Public domain is a very interesting subject, isn't it? Well, if this
yeah,
the House of Parliament is in the public domain, but you may not be
yeah.
allowed to go inside and film it, but the
Well, exactly.
exterior,
Yeah,
you know,
the exterior you're fine.
tourists film the bloody thing every day of the week. What's the difference?
Exactly.
You know?
And also, the end of the day, it's also how you portray whatever you're filming.
Yeah.
So, you were just filming outside the Houses of Parliament.
Well,
That's
I was
fine.
inferring that all politicians are actually demons from hell, but
Yeah, but you weren't inferring that the Houses of Parliament was a piece of crap or anything
no,
like
it's
that. You were
fantastic.
just
Yeah,
yeah. So it's like if you use like an iPhone.
yeah,
I mean, how many times do we see iPhones in
that's
films? We see them
true.
all the time.
Yeah,
So you got somebody using an iPhone and they're just speaking into it. That's fine. You make a critique about iPhones being like the worst piece of shit ever. Then I think you may have a problem.
yeah. I mean, I'm always worried about ringtones and stuff, and I think, oh, I'll just invent my own ringtone because you think,
Yeah, now because ringtones is music. It's
mm,
considered music, and somebody's written that piece of music or that ringtone,
yeah.
and so yeah, that's when you're getting into the proper copyright infringement.
Well, I did buy off some royalty-free music to use in the Western just at the beginning and the end because A,
That's fine.
because I couldn't be asked,
Yeah,
and B, because they sounded really cool, and for me to do that would take a lot of time. So I'm very much taking the view nowadays that if there's there's an Adobe After Effects project for the end credits where I've got like a wolf ripping through the screen, sort of with a claw effect and stuff. I thought that's going to take me, even if I try and make it look good, it's going to take me weeks to do that in After Effects. So I went on Fiverr.com, which I have told you about recently,
you
and
have, yeah,
there's lots of professionals who work in countries where the wages are low, and they'll put hours and hours of creativity into something for you for not a lot of money. And I know it sounds like slavery, but um, they could make the equivalent of a month's salary in a week, so they're not losing out, and you're
no,
getting what you want, and it keeps it in budget, and you
exactly,
can
and
improve the looks of your films. You know?
it's something that's it's been done by other filmmakers. I mean, the
Yeah.
one reason why George Lucas filmed in Tunisia
Mm.
was because it was cheap to film there.
Yeah.
It was the same with Francis Ford Coppola filming in Thailand.
Yeah.
it was so cheap to get labor,
Yeah,
you
lady
know, to
boys as well. Yeah, he could
true.
indulge himself quite
Yeah, they left that part
get his
out of the
money's
documentary.
worth. Yeah, Apocalypse Now, $10. Yeah. So
Love you long time.
yeah, so I'm looking forward. I've got another short, which actually, because I sort of like the horror genre immensely, because you can come up with some really twisted, fun stuff. But my next film will be horrific, but not necessarily a horror film. But you know what it is. But I'm not going to talk about it. But it's going to be pretty
Okay.
goddamn horrible.
Must admit, I've reading the script, I thought it was a real it's a really good script,
Yeah,
and the subject matter is I think you deal with it quite well.
yeah,
I mean, it's hard hitting,
yeah.
but I think you deal with it rather well.
Well, that,
So I'm looking forward to seeing that one
yeah,
when you're done.
absolutely. And it's more like less jokey Mike Tack, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Sort of things where I'm having fun and with the audience. Because of most recent films, because I do like monster films, and I've got the allotment, which is about a scarecrow that comes to life on a revenging rampage. And I do love monster movies, but this one is
Yeah.
more settled in real life. But it will mean, unfortunately, Tim won't have much on the makeup effects to do. But I will be moving into an area where I'm going to have rehearsals because of the
Yeah.
sensitive nature of what's being filmed. I'm going to have rehearsals and actors that can really good acting chops, so they can support each other. And Richard Knox very good at assisting with things like that. He was a dialogue coach for Keith on Red Wolf Pines, because he's the only
Okay.
English actor who actually speaks with an American accent.
Oh,
And
okay.
Richard he loves directing actors. He's not really a techie like me.
Yeah,
um,
that's right.
but in the same thing, I need to make sure that I still direct and evolve and develop myself. So it's a fine balance between having some really good assistants and then getting to the point where you're stepping down from, which is the prime role of being the director. So that's something that I just want to make sure that I develop myself. But it's good to learn. I'm learning all the time. We never stop learning, do we?
We never know,
Mm,
because there's always something new. There's some new technique. There's
mm,
some new way of acting. There's always things are just evolving all the time.
mm,
You know, as well as the equipment. So yeah, it's you, that's one of the things I like about filmmaking is it's that it's always constantly changing, and you're learning new stuff, and you can use new techniques, and every sort of move forward there's new toys that come into play, and then sometimes old toys come back
yeah.
into play because they're very useful for these new technologies.
That's one thing I would say to any budding filmmakers or people who are thinking of doing this, is that don't get too wrapped up in the tech. Don't think I've got to have this camera or have this lens or whatever. I think the hardest thing is just getting out there and making something, and then going through the process. Once you've been through that process, you learn and get better. And hopefully, each film shows some sort of progress. Um, that's what my aim is. That every film is getting slicker, and like script writing, even writing a script. I've never written a script before in my life. I had to get cell text and work out how the structure that everyone's used to seeing it in, and all that sort of thing. So but it's been delightful.
Mm.
It's been a great learning curve. I've been doing it since September. I started September 2012,
Wow.
so
Wow.
it'll be 3 years fairly soon.
This soon, yeah.
But
Wow, I mean, it's I have to say, from seeing that first film to your last film, you can see a progression. It's really you really come along. So,
mm,
I'm looking forward to seeing what else you come up with, Mike.
yeah, especially in the next short. Yeah, but the feature idea
Yeah.
I've got, I think, is really good as well. So me and Keith are going to develop that. I've got the beginning, the end. It's just the middle that we've got to work out what we're doing. But it's going to be like a one night in the life of a person. But
Right.
there's going to be lots of interesting things happening.
Happening. Oh,
And what I'm
brilliant.
going to try and do, I might ask Lawrence Harvey. I haven't asked him yet, but if he knows some actors, get some faces, so that if I make this feature film, on a shoestring, and I've got some named actors that, I mean, let's face it, most of the named actors, as long as they're not like Hollywood stars, they probably would do it for a couple of £100 a day. And on a feature, if you only need them to sort of pop their head round the corner for like a few hours just to get a few scenes in, it's actually probably commercially a good idea to get a couple
Yeah.
of decent names attached to your feature.
It is. It certainly is. And you'll find if you're lucky enough to catch them at a point when they're not doing anything, they'll be quite willing to do it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No,
We'll act
I
for
think
beer and curry.
there you go. I think that's a good place to end it,
Yeah,
Mike.
nice.
So how can people find your work?
Website is www.apocalypticconservatory.com, and that's got links to everything: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff.
Brilliant.
So come say hello, join up, follow what we're doing, and you've got a ton of things to content on there. There are some links to some very shady looking characters. One called Independent Runnings.
Yes, which you can find at www.independentrunnings.com, and also check out our YouTube page. Just search Independent Runnings, and of course you can follow this podcast on Facebook at just search Movie Heaven, Movie Hell, and we're on Twitter with the handle at Movie Heaven Hell.
Yes, listen to the podcast. They're great. All the ones without me are great. They're really good. So listen to them. Been a pleasure, Simon.
Mike.
Been really good fun. And
yeah,
you know,
it's been great to speak to you.
Talk shop.
Indeed. And thank you for stepping in for Keith as well.
Yeah, step into those size 5 shoes. Yeah,
it was quite interesting. Looking over Stuart Gordon's back catalogue.
absolutely.
It was not a director I sort of really knew about.
No. And I'm sure there's, I will try and catch up some of his films. As I say, I don't really watch a lot of horror films per se, mainly because my wife she likes costume dramas. I can get away if I get gothic horror, then that's good. It's sort of like horror combined with costume drama. Sort of that works. That's a nice little happy medium for both of us. But anything visceral, nasty like Serbian film or something like that, no. But what did I see last night? Primal Fear with Richard Gere. I saw that, and I forgot about the twist ending. That's Richard. Is it Norton's? Not Richard Norton's. Norton's first. Edward Norton's first role, and he was brilliant in that.
Yeah, Keith sort of recommended that one to me. So
yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Maybe I should make my next short. Could we call it Total Fear? Do you think that's a good title?
It's a good title, yeah.
Maximum Fear.
I don't know about Maximum Fear.
Lots and lots of really bad fear.
We had like Maximum Overdrive, where do you remember the trailer for that with Steven's? I was going to say Steven Spielberg, but Stephen King going. You know what? I've had many people make my films of my books, and you know the one thing I've learned: it's best to do it yourself. And you go, was it Stephen? Was it
Stephen, get back to the typewriter and leave it to the people that know what they're doing.
I enjoy Maximum Overdrive, but only as a guilty pleasure. It's not a film that I go back.
I must say, I don't know why Stephen King. I mean, Stephen King could write for. He just writes and writes and writes. He writes like the Quran. Each novel is huge.
Yeah,
and a lot of his stories are really bad. His endings are so rubbish. Ending his films for the most part is not very good, I find. He's very good character development and characters. He's superb at
that. I'm trying to think because
I mean,
a lot of books I've read. Well, I haven't read it, but the thing is, a lot of the books I've read, I've always been quite happy with the way they ended.
Ends with a giant spider in it. I mean, fuck me. How pony is
Oh,
that?
but are we talking the book? Or are we
Book.
talking the miniseries?
Book.
The book, okay, because the miniseries had the giant spider as well. It was just the miniseries. The first part was really good. It was really tense, and then the second part was pants.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Salem's Lot was a good TV adaptation. I enjoyed that with the
Oh god, yeah,
Nosferatu-looking vampire.
that's right.
But I suppose when you get to the letter K, you could have Stephen King, maybe.
Well, he's only had as a director, it's only one film.
Only one, so each one
yeah.
would be movie heaven and hell.
Oh yeah. So, what's your movie heaven? Maximum Overdrive. What's your movie hell? Maximum Overdrive. Keith, what's your movie heaven? Maximum Overdrive. I mean, we could do. I mean, we're thinking of doing like special one-offs where
You could do one-offs Stephen
about,
King film.
Yeah, you
best
could
Stephen
do like
King adaptation.
King adaptations, but then
which I
if we
can
talk
tell you
about-
now what that is.
Oh yeah, what's your
The
favorite?
Dead Zone, done by Cronenberg.
Oh, wow. Berg, yeah.
That is an awesome film and one of the best Stephen King adaptations, bar none, I reckon.
For me, it's Green Mile.
Green Mile's good. Bit too Shawshank for me though. Oh, Shawshank! What a great book.
I mean, there's
And how about The
Shawshank
Running
well.
Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, that is good. It's completely.
Don't lose your head.
It was Sub-Zero. Now just plain zero. Where's Buzzsaw? He had to split.
That's right. Yeah, we always get the people what we want, what they want. I'm not very good at Schwarzenegger. I'm not as good as Ross Brydon doing that. So.
But we all do. The best experience ever has been on a set, and the whole cast and crew start doing Arnie impressions. You just got to work on the that's it.
Whoa.
Wow, a bit of
Total Recall. That was a bit of a cartoon.
Yeah, I know. You had a bit of Christopher Walken in there at the end.
We better leave this. This is ridiculous. Okay.
Oh, don't worry. This part's not going.
I think we should do. Just do it as an extra.
Extra. We just kept on talking.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. I've got to go now. I've got to take the dog out for a walk. Thanks, Simon. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Take care, mate.
Mike. You too.
Ta-da.
All right. Bye.